I am the contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, I'm Raghavin from Green Dust. An effective and efficient reverse supply chain management is the key to an effective e-waste management.
What do? You've got a new mobile phone, what do you do with the previous one? You bought a brand new flat panel TV, what do you with that big, black, bulky CRT TV that you had already? What about printers, consumers, cartridges? What do you do? Where is all of that going? All of that is called e-waste. It's not the same thing as throwing out the rubbish from your house. The kabadi may not be the right person for that. This could lead to an extreme amount of chemicals and poisoning in the environment. Have you really thought this out? E-waste may well become the biggest problem this nation faces. Are there people doing something about it? Are all those policies, those processes, those businesses really qualified to do it? Well, we've got somebody who's doing just this. Let's try and get this in perspective. So, India, a very different country from any other. We are normally known as hoarders. We don't really like giving things away. If we give it away, it's at that last fag moment when it's completely and totally not working. So can you put it in perspective in India, the e-waste situation currently?
India is a difficult country. India is a difficult country, both different and difficult both. Prior to the time when Green Dust had come to this thing, the reverse supply chain was absent.
Okay, so to those who don't understand reverse supply chain, it basically means from the manufacturer to the retail distributor to the consumer.
Yes.
And now he's saying the consumer gives it back into the same chain. Okay.
So the reverse supply chain starts from after the selling has happened. What happens to the product? So the e-waste generation is directly responsible or directly proportionate to the efficient management of the reverse supply chain.
Okay.
So before Green Dust came in, this entire reverse supply chain was done the traditional way, wherein these products were picked up by the, I would say, the kabadi walas or the unorganized players. They were repaired using unauthorized parts by the typical jugaad and resold. After coming of Green Dust, what we have done is we are efficiently managing the reverse supply chain. We have given the OEMs that option or that I would say a path wherein they can be a responsible e-waste managers, wherein via Green Dust they can efficiently manage the reverse supply chain.
So what do you do? How do you generate e-waste? Who's giving it to you? The consumers themselves?
Yes, we have two models out there. One is the model wherein we pick up these products from the OEM itself. And the second model is where we pick up right from the house.
How does the OEM have these?
OEM have these in terms of their returns either through factory seconds or some very less percentages through customer returns or dealer returns, these demo models or there's a minor.
You know, my greatest problem starts from here. The responsibility to collect and make sure that it goes to the organized sector, like you're calling yourself, versus the unorganized sector. Why do we need unorganized sectors to get into this? Why do we need, you could be a player only to pick up from OEMs. Shouldn't this be a general rule that you build the cost of picking it up eventually? If I buy from X brand should be the reason I call and say, I'm done with it. This should be the cost that I'll get back. I should know that, like you have on your website. That this is what, why is the social and moral responsibility not of the company?
For over past 3-4 years, OEMs have realized their social responsibility, and that is the reason they are turning to a company like Green Dust.
Had companies taken the initiative and said, this is compulsory, whatever we sell for a profit, we have to collect it. And then they could have made sure that it comes to you, the organized sector, and there are no gaps. Why are we living with this thing that we can buy from a company that has no moral responsibility to take it back?
The manufacturers, they realize this part. I'm not sure whether they are incurring the cost or they're including the cost in the forward chain, but they realize their responsibility out here, and that is the reason they're turning towards people like us or the companies like us to manage that. And in response to you of picking it up from my household, or I being responsible, or as somebody coming to me as an individual and picking it up, we are actually doing that. We have recently launched a product, I would say a scheme wherein we pick up these products right from the customer's house.
Okay.
And we are in talks with these brands and OEMs wherein we can run the buyback program on their behalf at the customer's end. The biggest generation of e-waste happened in a household. We are reaching these households.
Okay, so let me understand. How does this work? Now, the convenience in India is the kabadi wala.
Yes.
Once every week he'll come, he'll say, do you have anything to throw away? He'll take it, gives you a very unfair price, but that's how it is, and he's gone. Are you competitive with his pricing?
Yes, we are very competitive. Actually, before actually running this program, what we did is we sat with these kabadi walas. Because we are in the business, so we knew the rates.
So you mean to say that they gave the competition, because you were eventually going to take business away from them, they gave the competition
the rates are open.
Details.
The rates are very open. So we knew that they are trying to get the best money from the customer, because the customer is not aware of the actual rates. Since we were aware of the actual rates, we told them that these are the rates.
You will either refurbish and resell,
yes,
or you will give it to a company that you're working with that is EWaste certified.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in a country like India, for instance, I didn't know you exist, and that, of course, would be the same as all the people that are watching out there. Very few people even know you exist. Why is your communication strategy so low-key?
We are doing that. We are trying to propagate this through our limited, I would say, budget. We are trying to propagate it. We are trying by the word of mouth and through our loyal customers. People are coming to know of it. Mm-hmm. It's been almost a month since we did a pilot in Delhi. We have already had a tie-up with a leading e-retailer there. So we are getting a lot of, I would say, inquiries and customers through that. It's growing, and we are, in the short term, we do plan to market it also, so that awareness in these metro cities grows and people are aware of the responsibility also.
What are the greatest barriers you're facing right now that this percentage is not exponentially increasing right now?
The biggest barrier is, one is slightly trying to change the mindset of the people not to keep old products in the house. Generally, we have a tendency
the hoarder category, yes,
especially when this we have faced, especially when you're going to the house of the customer, they generally try to keep it and I'll use it. So that part, that's the mindset which we're trying to change. And the second challenge is we are trying to convince the manufacturer themselves that yes, you have to go through an organized player, not through me, anybody else, but it is your responsibility, that proper e-waste management, like you said earlier.
So you're calling that a barrier, manufacturers?
It's not a barrier, it's a mindset change again. There are people, because most of the companies, most of the leading companies have realized it and they're doing it. They're trying their best to do it also there.
Isn't the big barrier the fact that the government itself has no real intelligent, forward-looking policy for e-waste management? There are no incentives. There is no process by which more companies like you would want to come into this.
The government gives incentive in terms of policies and tax rebates to the companies who are involved in refurbishment and reuse and reselling of these parts. I mean, the US is there, the UK and all is there. Somehow in India, we don't have a policy wherein a company like us, a company like Green does, gets a benefit where more companies are actually, they see a good business I would say model in this, and they can come in out here. So what we really look for is some support from the government to help the companies like us to give some support in terms of tax incentives.
Can you be very specific? If there was something that could be done today by the government, what's the one thing that could be the greatest change in this right now?
Give incentive to people like us. Give incentive to the companies like us, which are actually helping.
Is this not profitable at the present moment that you're asking for an incentive? Is that the greatest change that you're asking for? From what I hear, organized e-waste management is actually very profitable already. Is that true or false?
No, not exactly.
Can you explain to me in the chain between you and the consumer and the government, if there was an incentive, how would it work?
How it works is how I don't know how government is going to work, but I'll tell you how.
Let's
how
take a utopian, perfect
situation.
What would it be?
Let's take the fact that if I'm picking up a TV, and let's suppose I'm a company which is certified by the government of India, that okay, Green Dust is a company which is authorized to give I would say a refurbish or resell certificate. So the customer comes to me, he gives me his product, I give him a certificate or something which authorizes, yes, I have got his product. And based upon that product, the customer can get benefit out of it.
What benefit?
Either monetary benefit.
Monetary.
Obviously, a monetary benefit.
Okay, I think it's a very interesting idea because it gives me three incentives to come to you. One, my moral and social responsibility awakens a little.
Yes.
Second, you're going to come to my house and pick up this product and give me a better price. Third, it actually gets me a certificate where I can get further money, so I have an incentive to only go to the organized sector because my kabadi can't give me that certificate. I think it's a great idea. Have you tried this? I mean, have you been?
No, we have not tried it because at the moment we are only giving the cash and we are giving
I'm
value.
saying, have you tried running this through state anti-pollution boards, people that actually matter in the government? Is this something that could happen, or are we just talking fantasy right now?
Some discussion on from the management side and top level with certain government officials, but I'm really not aware whether how far have we reached and whether they're
But
working
this could
towards
be,
it.
I think, that
This could be a good
tipping point that we all need out here. All right, great. I think all of this is fantastic. What we will do is I'm going to get a list from you. For the first time ever, I'm going to close the contrarian by running a list of certain products where the price point,
Yes.
as well as what they can expect further as a discount from you, which would be a general trend for the industry. Let's give everybody a first incentive to come to people like you rather than going down to the unorganized sector. So now, here's what you're going to do. Open your drawers, look in your cupboards, the garage, that big trunk that you haven't opened for a while. I'm sure you'll find mobile phones, that TV that isn't working, and a lot of other things that you just threw away because you just weren't getting the right price. Don't be a hoarder. Get it away from you. It's not really doing anything for you. I'm going to end the show by running a very quick list of the kind of money you can get for those things if you go to the organized sector. And of course, this other big one is to all corporates. When we buy a product from you, you have the social and moral responsibility to take it back. You have to implement that. It should not go into the unorganized sector. I would tell every consumer, before you buy a product from a company, find out what is their e-waste process and management, and only buy from those that actually have a good one. We'll see you next week on The Contrarian. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
I am the contrarian, and this is my world.